Inside thousands of pages of unsealed court documents, there's a hidden network of secrets, a story the world is still desperately trying to piece together. In this explainer, we're going to dive deep into those publicly available files. We're focusing strictly on what the documents themselves reveal to see what clues we can find in this incredibly complex mystery. All right, so to really get a grip on this story, we have to start with the facts. Let's begin by laying out a clear timeline and then take a look at the chilling rules that, according to these very documents, governed Epstein's world. You know, the full story really spans decades, from the early days when he was building his network, all the way to his conviction and, of course, his death in custody. But the part that's changing everything is what's happening right now. This period from 2019 onward, this is when the slow unsealing of court documents has started to bring some truly shocking and verified details out into the open. This quote, it comes directly from Epstein's own household manual, a literal set of instructions for his staff. See nothing, hear nothing, say nothing. And this wasn't just a suggestion, it was a rigid rule. It's our first real glimpse into the dark culture of absolute secrecy that he enforced on everyone around him. So, with that culture of secrecy as a backdrop, let's actually dig into the files. They don't give us a neat, clean story. Not at all. Instead, what we find is this dossier of bizarre and deeply disturbing clues, scattered like puzzle pieces across thousands and thousands of pages. Let's just start with a single word, whoops. It shows up over 400 times in these documents, and it's often used by Epstein in the most shockingly inappropriate ways you can imagine. For example, the files show him replying whoops after being told about a young woman's assault. He even used that same word after hearing that Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s second wife had died. The sheer bluntness, the disturbing nature of his private communications is just on full display. This is a direct quote from one of Epstein's own emails. I loved the torture video. That's it, sent without any other context or explanation. This is also one of many times he referred to women as it instead of she, which just reveals this deeply dehumanizing way of thinking. And the documents are just filled with these truly bizarre obsessions. You see emails where he's asking a pilot to buy hidden cameras, and the pilot confirms they're the size of a thumb drive. Then there are discussions about finding a fake Russian wife, offers from his associates to bring him a baby from Africa, and even plans for what he chillingly called a baby factory out at his New Mexico ranch. So you have to wonder, where's all of this coming from? Well, a lot of these bizarre interests seem to come back to one single obsession: transhumanism. The files show he was fixated on this idea of improving the human race through genetic engineering. He even talked about funding research to modify embryos to create what he called designer babies. And this obsession with genetics, well, it took a really disturbing and racist turn. In a 2016 email exchange with a former MIT professor, Epstein explicitly said he was interested in genetically modifying Black people to make them smarter. He even talked specifically about finding and adjusting a set of genes used for working memory. Now, beyond his explicit emails, the files also show these strange patterns in the language he used. The word pizza, for example, shows up over 900 times, often paired with grape soda. The word cannibal appears 52 times. The context is often so out of place that the sheer frequency of these words has led a lot of people to think they were being used as code for something much, much darker. So let's pull back for a second, because when you zoom out from these individual clues, a much larger picture starts to take shape. What really emerges from these documents is this vast, undeniable web of influence, connecting Epstein to some of the most powerful people in global politics, royalty, business, and science. And this is just a tiny fraction of the connections documented in the files. A former Prime Minister of Israel called him a collector of people. The Duchess of York, and this was after his 2008 conviction, called him the brother I always wished for. And you have billionaire Richard Branson emailing him, joking that he should visit again, quote, as long as you bring your harem. And the web stretches deep into Hollywood, too. Director Woody Allen's name shows up over 7,000 times, including in one casual email where Epstein just mentions he's in Paris with Woody Allen. In another exchange, a well-known Hollywood Oscar guru emailed Epstein from Kenya with this deeply disturbing joke, offering to bring a little baby back for you or two. But here's the thing.
For everything these thousands of pages have revealed, maybe the most powerful part of the story is what's still hidden. The big, lingering questions that the files raise but just don't answer.
So, question number 1. Why would Epstein suddenly seem ready to cooperate, just weeks before his death? According to an FBI document, less than 2 weeks before he died, his lawyers met with prosecutors to discuss a possible resolution, which is a phrase that often means cooperation. The timing is so suspicious, it's just fueled theories that some very powerful people might have wanted him silenced. And then you have the documents themselves. Even with all these releases, huge parts of the files are still just blacked out. Entire pages, names, whole conversations are redacted. And that obscures key details, leaving these massive gaps in our understanding of his network and what he was doing. The physical mysteries are just as baffling. On his private island, he had this strange, striped, temple-like building with a golden dome. And nearby, there was this mysterious trapdoor that led down into dark, murky water. To this day, no official explanation has ever settled the debate about what they were really for. Ultimately, the Epstein files are a story that's defined just as much by what we can't see as by what we can. It's like a puzzle where we've been given thousands of pieces, but the most critical sections are still completely blacked out, hidden from all of us. So we have all these disturbing clues, the bizarre obsessions, the coded language, a vast network of the global elite. But what the documents don't offer are simple answers, which leaves us with one final provocative question for you. Based on everything we've just seen, which of these details do you think is the real key to understanding this entire mystery?